Hey everybody, Roger here. Hope you guys are all having a great day. I want to talk to you guys today about my current views in regards to the coronavirus, the Wuhan virus, sorry, I keep pronouncing that wrong, the China virus, whatever you want to call it, COVID-19, whatever. I'm here to talk about my current view and take on this with what's been going on recently. The last week and a half that I've been home since I was in Washington a couple weeks back, and I'm back home in Colorado. And these are my views now with everything that has surfaced and come up. First off, I do want to point out that I am taking this seriously, though I am not outraged about anything. I do believe people should be taking proper measures just to be on the safe side. Yes, we can probably, with the what would you call it, the narrative out there, we could potentially end up limiting the amount of hospital emergencies and probably extend this out a little longer than what it needs to be, but at that point it's manageable. I can believe that theory, and I'm doing what I can to take my part and make sure that I do the best that I can. However, I do believe that there is a flip side to this. I do believe in this analogy. I do believe people empowered do wholeheartedly go by this narrative. Don't let a good crisis go to waste. And that's what this is. This is a crisis scenario, whether it's fabricated or whether it's real or not. And they are, individual states right now in the United States have individual power to mandate whatever they want from their state, however they want to control it. So they have that power right now. And they're slowly, like what I saw in Washington, I did not know what to expect. So I had to leave ASAP while I was visiting family. But they are slowly creeping in all of these different rules and things that you can and can't do. I believe Florida now has checkpoints. So we're at this level now where I think they're testing us to see how far we would actually be taking this. How much how much of our rights would we actually be willing to give over for protection? And the sad part is that it's not just the left that are okay with this. It's a lot of people on the right that are okay with these decisions, probably because their commander-in-chief, Trump, and yes, I am still a Trump supporter, and I do think he has a lot of bad advisors, and I do think he's making a lot of bad choices right now. But a lot of these people that are in this game right now are probably, helping to direct what's going on here. Again, all speculative, all assumption, but look at what's happening across the world. I believe we have Ireland right now where they can't go more than 2 meters from their front door of their house. Again, like I mentioned, we have Florida, who have checkpoints now. We have other areas where they are in permanent lockdown. I just feel like we're being taken advantage of. Like, what time in history have we ever seen, a big shutdown of a pandemic? I mean, we have so many pandemics. We've had so many ongoing, what I would call or consider pandemics, if we're talking about the numbers and death tolls and increasing rates of people dying. We have the drug war, the legal drug war right now, where everybody can die. Millions of people a year can die from these drugs, but it's not an issue. We have heart disease, where millions of people die every year. We have cardiovascular disease, one of the number one killers in the United States. None of these are we don't shut down commerce. We don't shut down businesses for any of these things. Yet we're doing it with this. We're shutting businesses down, not even knowing much about this, and we're allowing it to happen. And that's my big issue with this, is I think that we are sacrificing a good system, the open market. We are sacrificing that right now, and we're putting trillions into this little disability, this little hiccup that we have here that we're going to eventually have to owe. But at the same time that's happening, we're seeing this control gradually increase of government, controlling us. Slowly taking away some of our civil liberties, some of our God-given liberties, some of our freedoms that we have, and we're okay with it. I'm not. I do believe if you want to go out and do whatever you want, you should be able to reap the rewards or pay the consequences of it. That's the beauty of American liberties here. But they are just. I'm just seeing that we're allowing things to get out of hand, and I'm not liking that. So we also, if this was really a big issue, why are we why did the Trump admin decide to go ahead and increase the H-2A, H-1B visa programs and all these other visa programs? We're fast tracking all of these people. Some of them, I believe, are not even needing to go through what do you call it? An interview, a pre-process interview, or whatever you would call it. So they're not being screened. That's it. They're not being screened. But they're coming in here and they're going to be taking over some jobs, American jobs. Right now, when we have over 3.2 million people who have filed for unemployment, we're getting to a point where I think we're setting ourselves up for a trap. This is my opinion. Again, nothing is concrete here, but this is just what's going on in my head from what I see. We're getting free Pornhub. Everybody's watching Netflix like crazy. We're watching deranged people on the Tiger King, and we're thinking this is the new norm. There's people also getting very paranoid, cabin fever, wanting to get out of their house. We're social creatures. We're not designed to be like this. Now, yeah, we can. I think what separates a lot of us is that, some of us are okay with being alone a lot or with one or two other people on a regular basis, nothing more, nothing less. But yet, after a while, you can develop that cabin fever, especially when you know deep down in your head, you don't have control of this stuff. We're tasting a little bit of communism here. We're tasting a little bit of control, and it's going to hurt us in the long run. So I think it's being played out this way on purpose, and I can't even believe any of the data right now. I think that nothing is to be trusted at this point. Not even the U.S. data here. It's getting to that point where what kind of information are they feeding us, and why are we being told all these different figures? Why are all these countries reporting different data? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Every country does its own thing and reports in its own way. But we need to not trust a lot of these sources here. We need to ask for more detailed information, and we need to only look at that data and then conclude for ourselves what we think. And again, this is what I think for me right now is I think that we are being duped in a huge way, and we're going to pay the consequences of it later on. I believe there's going to be another fourth stimulus package later on down the line. If this does get out of hand, what would that be? Like $8 trillion? And while I do understand, I got in a little argument on Twitter with this one girl who decided to block me after she understood what I was trying to say. It's my opinion. But I do believe that since the government is interfering in this, and the government is the one telling us that we are to close our businesses and whatnot, service businesses and whatnot, that this isn't a handout like what you would see with social programs. This is more or less the government is interfering, so they have an obligation to give back to the people and the businesses that they're telling and ordering and instructing to close down. They have that obligation. The government doesn't tell people to be lazy. That's welfare. Those are two completely different things. I won the argument, lady. I don't know if you're going to watch this video or not, but I understand this and you don't. So you might look at this as a welfare. It's not. This is the government ordering people and businesses to do something, and they have an obligation, since they're interfering in my business and commerce, everybody's business and commerce, that they're interfering in it. Then the government does have an obligation to, at least in part, provide us some of the lost funds, lost revenue, lost business back. Again, will it go far? No, I don't think so. This is just going to be another huge debt. I'm not a huge favor of it. I understand it has to be done, but this is a horrible scenario, and it's not going to go far. When you start putting in money here into the free market, and you expect it to make band-aids. It's not. We're making a bigger bubble, and I'm not sure what to think here. Are we setting ourselves up for a government control system later on down the line? Is this going to be a future form of communism where the government is going to reward itself and say, hey, they're going to praise themselves. They're going to praise themselves in the future here, and they're going to say, we handled this very well, and we've saved a lot of lives. And this is based off of what data? All this mixed up data that we have right now. But they're going to be rewarding and praising themselves for that, and say, we know what's best for the people. A lot of people who are going to get in the bandwagon, who are okay with the government taking control, supposedly saving lives, they're going to be okay with this. And this might end up being the new norm later on down the line, especially with the amount of debt that we're going to be getting into after all of this. It's insane. Taxes will be going up. there's all these theories out there about what would happen later on down the line, but I firmly do believe that this is going to be costly for us, and we will never recover from this if it keeps going. And again, if the government is able to take this as an example that they're able to praise themselves with, a lot of people are going to follow suit. The average person is going to follow suit and be like, yeah, it's true. And then we might, worst case scenario, have a semi-dystopian society where we are under the watch, which again in California, I believe they are manning drones out there to see if people are breaking curfews and stuff. Florida has, mandatory, what I mentioned earlier, where they're being stopped by, if they're traveling to and from everywhere. Some places they're going to start fining you if you're not out for an essential item. We're getting to that point where a lot of people are okay with this, and I see it on the left and the right, and those same people are still praising Trump. Again, Trump, I think he's doing an okay job, but it's getting borderline to the point where this is being overhyped. It's my personal opinion. I think this is all overhyped, and it needs to be addressed. And then one of the other issues that we have here are people like Nancy Pelosi. We have Governor Cuomo in New York. We have a couple of other politicians playing this card that, hey, Trump should have taken this seriously a long time ago. And they're like, I believe Nancy Pelosi, and this is, I think it's just a rumor at this point, but Nancy Pelosi is trying to write articles of impeachment for him not reacting quick enough. But yet, I think it was on February 24th, you can see her in Chinatown in San Francisco trying to persuade people, motivating people, saying, there's nothing to fear, come and join the gang and stuff over here. And business is down 75-80% in some of these areas. We need to stop being afraid. This is just a false narrative and whatnot. What is it? I mean, who do you want to believe? And then you have the World Health Organization, the WHO, basically sleeping with China, and they're telling everybody, no, you can't get it from touching anybody. They're the ones pushing the narrative that it's okay to be around people. And then everybody today that hate Trump, for some reason, believe all these people. They don't even want to look at the past. It's like, get your heads out of your asses. Start looking at what's going on here and see the narrative. Don't be taken a fool. A lot of you people are being taken a fool. I'm probably being taken a fool right now. I don't know, but I have yet to see the evidence show me otherwise. So I can't stand that the media and people like Pelosi, organizations like the WHO that everybody supposedly think is credible. It's insane that a lot of people are just falling for the narratives. They're not trying to look at it in a realistic way. Again, prepare, do everything that you need to, make sure that you're practicing safe hand washing, distancing, whatever you want to call it. That's the other thing. Social distancing, I think it's a phrase purposefully created instead of physical distancing to always be in your head thinking, oh, social. We are social creatures first and foremost, and we are physical. I do believe that, and I think it's made to keep us from to make us go crazy. Social distancing. You have that word social in the back of your head, and you're just like, I can't take this anymore. A lot of people are already starting to have these mental meltdowns. I'm seeing it all around, and I think I get touches and hints of it here and there during this little shutdown, but. This phrase is being used purposefully. It's being used everywhere in social media, even in my video, unfortunately, I'm sorry. Mainstream news, it's being used everywhere. And it's such a dangerous word to use. Again, because it plays with your mind. It makes you feel like, yes, this is, I have to be away from people, but I also have to be antisocial. Again, I'm not saying that that's what people are thinking straight off the bat, but I'm pretty sure it crosses some people's mind, absent-mindedly or whatnot, and it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. Again, we're social creatures, and we want to interact. So that phrase, I believe, should not be used. I think it should be physical distancing, but even that in itself is a detriment to a person's psyche. So it's my opinion on that, anyways. And then we get to the point of vaccinations. I believe that there are some supposed cures to end this thing. I've heard rumors that there was a person who actually got rid of it and then got it back. So it could be a different strain, or what is the word, evolves or mutates into a different more dangerous level of COVID or something. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but when I see all these and then I hear that there's a potential cure and stuff. I am not taking a vaccine. I'd like to get this thing naturally if I do get it and fight it off with my natural defenses. I mean, we're getting to the point where everybody, do I believe vaccines work? Maybe in some instances they do. But when we continually have to rely on all these vaccines, all these kids get, and then we see all these kids these days get all these unheard of things I've never even seen when I was a kid with other kids. It's getting to the point where we're not letting our natural immune system evolve and fight these things and make our bodies stronger for future generations when those people do have kids. They're getting weaker and weaker and weaker. That's just me. I'm not a 100% anti-vaxxer. I believe you should have the freedom to choose what you want, just as I should if I want to have a vaccination or not as well. So that's probably all I'll say about that portion of it. There's this person that I've been watching a lot lately, Professor, I'm probably going to botch his name, Sucharit Bhakdi, SUCHARIT BHAKDI. He's also challenging the narrative of this coronavirus and what the mainstream people are actually preaching about it, and he's actually challenging it to the point where I think it's pretty important. You should probably go ahead and listen to some of his videos. There are some translated versions out there, and it'll get you thinking if you're not even trying to think about it at this point. Overall, where I'm at with this virus is this. I think that it's blown out of proportion. I think that the potential for it to actually be a extreme pandemic that needs to be taken seriously versus destroying an economy and causing us to probably dive into this socialist, partial dystopian, whatever, communistic control, socialist society is, in my opinion, not a good thing. I do believe that there are a lot of other more important items out there that we should be acknowledging. Do I believe we need to be still practicing some of these safeguards in regards to coronavirus? Sure, why not? I do. I'm going to, even though I don't fully believe that this is a huge issue, and it is, I do believe, blown out of proportion. I'm still going to do what I need to do to see if things can change. But I do think this is a deep state grab. I think it's those in power grab, where they're looking to see how we're going to react and see if we're willing to give up our rights, our liberties, to the point where we're going to be controlled. We are being controlled right now, and we're accepting it. People on the left and the right, everybody in between. And it sucks that a lot of people are actually okay with this. I'm not. I'm addressing it, and we'll see where it goes from here. Right now, this is how I feel. I'd like to know what your guys' take is. How do you feel about all this? Do you think that this is fake? Do you think that it's orchestrated? Do you think it's real, and that people in power are taking advantage of trying to see how far they could go to gain control? I do believe that latter part. I do believe maybe there's some semblance of truth to what's going on here. But the figures, the reports and everything of people, how people are dying, some of them are realistically dying of a heart attack or cardiovascular or whatever. They're dying of other things, but then if they get tested that they have coronavirus, they're going to put that they died of coronavirus, and it just ups the data, ups the stats of the supposed danger of this thing. Sorry, I keep talking with my hands. Anyways, I'd like to know your guys' thoughts, and go from there. Okay, I think I rambled long enough in this video. Like, hate, subscribe. Subscribe, share, don't share. I do love it all. Peace out.